Shalom, this is Yehudit, go far from Sfat, now still in Denver, Colorado. Since I'll be flying most of tomorrow, I wanted to do this video the night before I fly, because we're into the 32nd day of the 40 days of challenge and centering. And I want to share with you the movements that I do for this day. So we're coming down now on the fourth cycle of 10 of the 10 sefirot. I'm using the word Adonai as my basis for my 4 columns of the sefirot chart. And we did the Yud for the world of Asiya, coming up from Malchut to Keter, coming down in the world of Yetzirah with the Nun, from Keter to Malchut, going back up with a dalet, several forms of dalet, one for each of the different levels of soul, ending with the Keter with a dalet 2 days ago for the 30th day, and then yesterday for the 31st day, we're starting the last column, the column of the world of Asilut, of closeness to Hashem. It also goes with Chochmah, the place of Chochmah in terms of the sefirot, and today, the 32nd day, is Chochmah within that world, and I use the Alef of Adonai for this whole column. So I'm going to try something a little new in the movements and the way I combine them. We're going to do, I'll go over what the Alef is, the oneness that is part of Chochmah, because Chochmah is the wisdom that comes from understanding deeply the underlying oneness of all of reality. And Chochmah is also the Yud of the divine name, and so I'm using my Yud necklace to remind me of that, Yud for Yehudit too, which has within it and if you check out the way the letters work, it actually has the divine name in it slightly modified, because the Yud, the second Yud of Yehudit, can be put under the dalet before it to become the second Hey, and the Tav, Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach taught me a long time ago, the Tav indicates the end of time, and that every Jewish woman who's called Yehudit, I mean, not just named Yehudit, but every Jewish woman is a Yehudit. The job in this world is to channel Hashem's name and energy through the doorway, the dalet of this world, until the end of time. Pretty strong message there and mission there. And so my part of it now is to share with you the way you can count each day using the Otiyot Hayyot, the living letter patterns of Otiyot Hayyot. So, the Alef. So I'm going to stand way back so you can see the breath of the Alef. If I go to my left, you get an Alef by what's the Vav is part of the Alef here, a hanging Yud, and a supportive Yud is my left leg. When I come back, I emphasize the oneness. This is the multiplicity of the 1,000 Alef, and this is the oneness of Alef. And then normally I would close and do the other side, which I'll do a few on the other side. Alef. My head goes under, looks under my arm. I'm rocking from one foot to the other. Now, as a practice, when I do Alef, I often don't close after each one. I do alternate Alef. So if I get centered here on the screen, I try to get centered, I go left, and then I just turn my left toe forward. So I come down and then I open out with the right, pointing my right toe out and then turning it in. And what I'd like to try on this version, to emphasize the oneness, is to do the alternating Aleph, interspersed with a nikudah for Chochmah, which is the Petach. So I'll show you how we're going to do it. I'll show you just the Petach first. It has shoulders width apart, feet pointing forward. And the Petach is a straight line, so you put your left hand inside your right, come up and make a straight line. Keeping it whole. When you're doing it repetitiously, you keep it whole. So the combination that we're going to do together now, as I meditate, as I'm doing the 10 repetitions from my crown down through my body to Malchut, to groundedness and centeredness. So what I'd like to try is we'll go to the left for Keter, the Alef of Keter, and instead of closing, just turn my foot forward, come to my center, and come up for the Petach. Then I'm going to go to the right, so my right toe points out, and I go right for Chochmah. Come back to the center. Venus to the left, so turn my left toe out. Come back to the center. To the right for Hesed. Left Gevurah. Both feet pointing forward. Sefirot. I'm going to go to the right. Now it comes to the center. It will be a crossover. What we're going to do as we've been doing in the past. Center this. And staying on the right for Nessa. Left for hold. Right for Yesod. And left for Malchut. Then bringing my foot to close. Letting Hashem breathe me. Malchut as total receiver. Receiving Hashem's energy all the way from my crown, down through the body to my feet, into the ground. Letting myself be breathed by Hashem. Being aware, waiting for that breath. Knees slightly bent, hanging from a string. My colors today are partly Chochmah as blue and partly the combination on the rainbow system of blue and purple, because in the rainbow system purple is Hesed and blue is Gevurah, and the Alef is the pathway between Hesed and Gevurah, both directions. So I bless us that we may gain wisdom in our learning how to navigate being out in the world, like the plenitude of all directions of the Aleph, and then being able to come back to our center. And that we also know how to navigate when to be very open-hearted and giving, and when to put boundaries up and get strength from putting limits on or recognizing limits. So may we be blessed on this 32nd day, a day like the 32 paths of wisdom, to really tap into our inner wisdom, our deep inner wisdom, our knowing of the underlying oneness and how we can act in ways that fit with the greatest good of bringing forth that divine oneness as manifest in our world. All the blessings to you.